Let me ask you something. As you step into 2026, do you want more energy, more confidence, more success, more fulfillment? Or do you want another year that looks suspiciously like the last one? Because the truth is, your life does not change by accident. It changes by the questions you ask yourself consistently. Your questions shape your focus. Your focus shapes your emotions. Your emotions drive your actions. And your actions determine your results. If you're asking weak questions, you'll live a weak life. If you ask powerful questions every single day, you can literally rewire your destiny. Today, I want to give you 3 questions. Not once innate, wow questions. Not when I feel motivated questions. These are daily questions. Ask them every morning, every night, and especially when life challenges you. If you live these questions, 2026 will not be ordinary. It will be unstoppable. The first question is this: what am I focusing on right now, and is it empowering me or limiting me? Whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on what's missing, you feel frustrated. If you focus on what you appreciate, you feel alive. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they live in the wrong focus. They focus on problems instead of progress. They focus on fear instead of opportunity. They focus on what they can't control instead of what they can. Every day in 2026, you must take control of your focus before the world does it for you. News, social media, other people's opinions, they are all competing for your attention. But attention is your most valuable asset. Ask yourself daily, what am I choosing to see? Because you can always find reasons to quit, and you can always find reasons to rise. The difference is the lens you use. When something goes wrong, don't ask, why does this always happen to me? Ask, what's great about this? What can I learn? How can this make me stronger? Change the question, and you change the meaning. Change the meaning, and you change your life. The second question is this: what am I committed to no matter what? Desire is not enough. Wishes don't build dreams, commitment does. Most people want success, but they're not committed to the actions success requires. They want confidence, but they're not committed to doing uncomfortable things. They want freedom, but they're not committed to discipline. In 2026, you must decide what you stand for. Commitment means you do it when you're tired. You do it when you're bored. You do it when nobody is watching. Commitment means you don't negotiate with your excuses. You negotiate with your standards. Ask yourself daily, what am I absolutely committed to today? Not someday, not next year, today. Because your destiny is not shaped in giant moments. It's shaped in small, repeated decisions. One workout, one conversation, one courageous action at a time. When you're clear about your commitment, obstacles stop being roadblocks and start being tests. Life will test you. It always does. The question is, will you pass the test, or will you lower your standards to match your comfort? The third question is this: what action must I take today to move my life forward? Clarity without action is frustration. Knowledge without execution is powerless. You don't need to know everything to change your life. You just need to do the next right thing consistently. Every day, ask yourself, what's one action I can take today that moves me closer to the life I want? One call, one page written, one skill practiced, one honest conversation, one step outside your comfort zone. Massive results don't come from massive actions once in a while. They come from small actions done with massive consistency. If you improve just a little every day in 2026, by the end of the year, you won't recognize the person you used to be. And let me tell you something important. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. Most people say, once I feel confident, I'll act. That day never comes. You act first and confidence follows. You move first and certainty grows. Now imagine this. Every single day in 2026, you wake up and ask, what am I focusing on? What am I committed to? What action will I take today? Do you think your life would look the same after 1 year? Absolutely not. Your body would change. Your mindset would change. Your income, your relationships, your sense of purpose would all shift because you took control of the one thing you truly own, your daily decisions. Your future is not waiting for permission. It's waiting for leadership. And the leader of your life is you. Ask better questions, demand better answers, and take decisive action. If you do these 3 things daily, 2026 won't just be another year. It will be the year you finally become the person you've always known you could be. Your life is shaped by the questions you ask yourself every day, because questions are the invisible force directing your focus, your emotions, and ultimately your decisions. The moment a question enters your mind, your brain begins searching for answers, and it will always find something, even if the answer limits you. Most people never realize that the quality of their inner questions is quietly determining the quality of their lives, shaping what they notice, how they feel, and what actions they take without conscious awareness. When you ask disempowering questions, your mind locks onto problems, fear, and limitation. Questions like, why is this happening to me? Or why am I not good enough? Train your nervous system to expect struggle. Over time, this becomes a mental habit, and that habit influences how you show up in every area of life. You stop seeing opportunities because your questions have taught your mind to search for threats. You hesitate, second-guess yourself, and lower your standards, not because you lack ability, but because your focus has been conditioned in the wrong direction. Powerful people ask powerful questions. Instead of asking why something is difficult, they ask what can be learned from it. Instead of asking, what if I fail, they ask, what if this works? These questions shift the meaning of any situation and instantly change emotional state. When the meaning changes, the emotion changes, and when the emotion changes, behavior follows. This is how people create momentum even in challenging circumstances, by using questions to access strength rather than surrender to fear. Every morning you wake up already asking questions, even if you are unaware of them. What kind of day will this be? How much stress will I face? How tired will I feel? These questions set expectations, and expectations shape experience. If you expect struggle, you brace for it. If you expect growth, you prepare for it. Your mind will work tirelessly to prove your questions right, scanning your environment for evidence that supports the focus you have chosen. The brain is naturally wired to notice problems as a survival mechanism, which is why intentional questioning is essential. Without conscious direction, your questions default to protection instead of progress. By deliberately choosing questions that emphasize growth, responsibility, and possibility, you take control of your inner world. You stop reacting to life and start shaping it from the inside out. Your identity is reinforced daily by the questions you ask. Asking what is wrong with me builds a story of inadequacy. Asking what is strong about me builds confidence and resilience. Over time, these questions become beliefs, and beliefs guide behavior more powerfully than logic. You will always act in alignment with the person you believe yourself to be. Every breakthrough begins with a better question. When you change what you ask, you change what you notice, what you feel, and what you do. This daily discipline of questioning is not about being positive, it is about being intentional. The future you want is not created by luck or circumstance, but by the repeated decision to ask questions that move you forward instead of holding you back. Focus determines emotions, and emotions drive every action you take, whether you are conscious of it or not. At any moment, your emotional state is not created by what is happening around you, but by what you are choosing to focus on. Two people can be in the same situation and experience completely different emotions because they are focusing on different meanings. One sees opportunity, the other sees threat. One feels energized, the other feels defeated. The difference is not the event, it is the focus. Whatever you focus on consistently becomes amplified in your mind. If you focus on what you are losing, you feel fear. If you focus on what you are grateful for, you feel strength. If you focus on uncertainty, you feel anxiety. If you focus on growth, you feel excitement. Emotions are not random. They are signals created by focus, and those emotions become the fuel for your behavior. You never take action without emotion first. Even logic is powered by feeling. Most people try to change their actions without changing their emotional state, and they wonder why nothing lasts. They force themselves to work harder, to be more disciplined, to stay motivated, but motivation fades when the emotional fuel runs out. Sustainable change happens when you learn to control focus, because when focus changes, emotion changes automatically, and when emotion changes, action becomes natural. Think about the moments when you took massive action in your life. You did not hesitate or overthink. You moved because you felt certain, driven, or inspired. That emotion came from what you were focusing on in that moment, not from external pressure. In contrast, procrastination is not a time management problem. It is an emotional problem. When you focus on discomfort, effort, or possible failure, you feel resistance, and resistance stops action. Your focus is constantly being pulled by the environment. News, social media, conversations, and memories are all competing for control of your attention. If you do not consciously choose your focus, something else will choose it for you. Once that happens, your emotional state becomes reactive instead of intentional, and your actions follow patterns you did not design. When you feel overwhelmed, it is because your focus has expanded the problem and minimized your resources. When you feel confident, it is because your focus has expanded your strengths and minimized the obstacle. This is why shifting focus can change your state in seconds. Asking yourself what you can control, what you can learn, or what action you can take immediately redirects attention and creates a new emotional response. Emotions are not good or bad, they are guidance systems. They tell you where your focus is. If you feel stuck, frustrated, or drained, it is a signal that your focus needs adjustment. By training yourself to focus on solutions, progress, and contribution, you create emotions that support action instead of sabotage it. Every habit you have is emotionally reinforced. You repeat behaviors that feel rewarding and avoid those that feel painful. By changing focus, you change the emotional payoff, and when the emotional payoff changes, behavior changes without force. This is how focus becomes the ultimate leverage point for personal transformation. Commitment, not desire, is what separates winners from wishers, because desire is easy and commitment is demanding. Everyone wants success, confidence, freedom, and fulfillment, but wanting something does not require sacrifice. Commitment does. Desire shows up when it is convenient. Commitment shows up when it is uncomfortable, uncertain, and exhausting. This is where most people fall short, not because they lack dreams, but because they have not decided what they are willing to do no matter what. When you are committed, your behavior changes automatically. You stop negotiating with excuses and start negotiating with solutions. You no longer ask if you feel like taking action, you ask what needs to be done next. Commitment removes the option to quit, and when quitting is no longer an option, creativity increases. The mind begins to search for ways forward instead of escape routes. Many people confuse motivation with commitment. Motivation is an emotion, and emotions fluctuate. Commitment is a decision, and decisions create stability. On the days when motivation is high, action feels easy. On the days when motivation is gone, commitment is what carries you forward. Without commitment, progress depends on mood. With commitment, progress becomes inevitable. Commitment also shapes identity. When you decide what you stand for, You begin to see yourself differently. You are no longer someone who tries, you are someone who does. That identity reinforces behavior because people will always act in alignment with who they believe they are. The moment you commit, you raise your standards, and standards are more powerful than goals. Goals are what you want. Standards are what you demand from yourself. Obstacles are inevitable, but commitment changes how you interpret them. Without commitment, obstacles feel like reasons to stop. With commitment, obstacles feel like tests of resolve. Challenges no longer mean something is wrong, they mean you are growing. This shift in meaning allows you to persist where others retreat. True commitment requires clarity. You must know what matters enough to endure discomfort. When your reasons are weak, your commitment will be weak. When your reasons are strong, your commitment becomes unshakable. This is why people who are deeply connected to their purpose can endure levels of pressure that others cannot. Their commitment is fueled by meaning, not convenience. Commitment also demands consistency. It is not about one heroic effort, but about showing up day after day. Small actions repeated consistently compound into extraordinary results. Without commitment, consistency fades. With commitment, consistency becomes automatic. When you commit fully, you stop waiting for confidence to appear. Confidence is built through action, not before it. Each step you take reinforces belief in your ability to follow through. Over time, this creates momentum, and momentum simplifies progress. The world rewards those who commit because commitment signals seriousness. Opportunities appear for those who demonstrate reliability, discipline, and follow through. People trust commitment because it is rare, and rare qualities produce uncommon results. Daily standards are more powerful than goals or motivation because standards define what you will and will not accept in your life. Goals are something you aim for in the future, but standards are rules you live by in the present. You can be excited about a goal and still tolerate behaviors that pull you away from it, but when you have a standard, those behaviors are no longer options. Standards shape identity, and identity shapes destiny. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel driven and energized, and other days you feel tired, distracted, or overwhelmed. If your progress depends on motivation, your results will be inconsistent. Standards remove the need for motivation because they turn behavior into expectation. You do not negotiate with a standard, you live it. Just like you do not debate whether you brush your teeth or show up for responsibilities, standards become automatic actions. Most people lower their standards to avoid discomfort, and then they wonder why their lives stay the same. They say they want more, but they continue to accept less. The life you are living right now is a reflection of the standards you have been tolerating. What you tolerate becomes your normal, and your normal becomes your future. Raising standards is not about perfection, it is about alignment. It is about deciding who you are and how you show up, regardless of mood or circumstance. When you raise your standards, you raise the floor of your behavior, not just the ceiling of your dreams. This creates consistency, and consistency is what builds trust in yourself. Standards also influence how others treat you. When you clearly define what you accept and what you will not accept, people adjust their behavior accordingly. Without standards, you invite chaos, disrespect, and compromise. With standards, you create clarity, boundaries, and respect. Every time you meet your standards, you reinforce self-belief. Every time you violate them, you weaken it. Confidence is not built by success alone, but by integrity. Doing what you said you would do even when it is inconvenient. Standards protect your integrity because they remove the option to betray your own values. Goals can inspire you, but standards transform you. Goals can be postponed. Standards are practiced daily. You might miss a goal deadline and still recover, but if you consistently violate your standards, your self-respect erodes. This is why people with high standards often appear disciplined, focused, and resilient even when life is challenging. Raising standards requires courage because it often means letting go of comfort, excuses, and sometimes even relationships that no longer align. It requires honesty about where you are settling and where you need to demand more from yourself. The moment you raise your standards, your behavior must rise to meet them. Your results will always reflect your standards, not your intentions. Intentions are invisible. Standards are visible in your actions. When you decide your non-negotiables and live by them daily, progress becomes predictable and growth becomes inevitable. Small, consistent actions create massive long-term results because progress is rarely dramatic in the moment but powerful over time. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. They look for breakthroughs, giant leaps, and instant change, while real transformation is quietly built through repetition. What you do daily matters far more than what you do occasionally. Consistency compounds. A small improvement repeated every day does not stay small. It stacks, it multiplies, and eventually it creates momentum that feels unstoppable. The problem is that early progress is invisible, and when people cannot see results immediately, they assume nothing is working. They quit too soon, not realizing they were just days or weeks away from a breakthrough created by accumulation. Every habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. One workout does not transform your body, one focused work session does not build mastery, and one positive conversation does not fix a relationship. But repeated actions reshape identity. Over time, you stop being someone who tries and become someone who lives the behavior. Identity change is what makes results sustainable. Small actions remove overwhelm. When a goal feels too big, the mind resists. But when the action is simple and manageable, resistance drops. You do not need to conquer the mountain today, you only need to take the next step. That step builds confidence, and confidence fuels the next step. This is how progress becomes natural instead of forced. Most people fail not because they aim too low, but because they try to change everything at once. They burn out, lose focus, and return to old patterns. Consistency wins because it respects human psychology. It builds success without shocking the nervous system. It turns growth into routine instead of struggle. Discipline becomes easier when actions are small. You do not need extreme willpower to show up for a simple habit. But when you show up daily, that habit strengthens discipline itself. Discipline is like a muscle. It grows through repeated use, not through rare heroic efforts. Time magnifies whatever you practice. If you practice avoidance, distraction, and excuses, time will magnify those patterns. If you practice effort, learning, and follow through, time will reward you with skill, confidence, and opportunity. The direction of your daily actions determines the direction of your life. Small, consistent actions also build trust in yourself. Each time you follow through, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself. Self-trust is the foundation of confidence, and confidence fuels courage. When you trust yourself, you take bigger risks because you know you will handle the outcome. Success is rarely about intensity, it is about endurance. Those who win are not the ones who start strongest, but the ones who keep going. When you commit to small actions daily, you remove the pressure to be perfect and replace it with the power to be persistent. Over time, persistence transforms effort into excellence. Better questions lead to better decisions and a better future because every decision you make is preceded by a question, whether you notice it or not. In moments of pressure, your mind automatically asks something like, what should I do now? How do I avoid pain? Or how do I get out of this? The quality of the answer you get depends entirely on the quality of the question you ask. Weak questions create narrow options. Powerful questions open doors you did not see before. Most poor decisions are not made because of lack of intelligence, but because of poor questioning. When people ask, how can I avoid this problem, they choose safety over growth. When they ask, how can I grow through this, they choose progress. The question determines the frame, and the frame determines the choice. Over time, these choices compound into patterns, and patterns become your life. In stressful moments, the brain wants quick relief. It asks questions that reduce discomfort in the short term, even if they create pain later. How can I escape this? How can I distract myself? How can I delay this? These questions lead to decisions that feel good temporarily but produce regret long-term. Better questions shift focus from immediate relief to long-term value. When you ask questions about contribution, meaning, and impact, your decisions rise in quality. Instead of asking what is easiest, you ask what is right. Instead of asking what benefits me now, you ask what builds the future I want. These questions align your decisions with your values, and alignment creates fulfillment. Better questions also slow down emotional reactions. Instead of reacting impulsively, a powerful question creates a pause. That pause gives you space to choose instead of react. Questions like, what is the best use of my energy right now, or what decision will I be proud of tomorrow, redirect you toward wisdom instead of impulse. Leadership begins with questioning. People who lead themselves will ask questions that demand responsibility. They ask what part of this is mine to own and what action can I take immediately. These questions eliminate blame and create momentum. Blame keeps you stuck. Responsibility moves you forward. Your future is shaped not by one decision, but by thousands of small ones made every day. Each decision may seem insignificant, but together they create direction. When your questions improve, your decisions improve, and when your decisions improve, your direction changes. Better questions also expand vision. They move you from short-term thinking to long-term thinking, from survival to creation. Instead of asking, can I handle this? You ask, how can I master this? Instead of asking, is this possible? You ask, how do I make it inevitable? The life you want is built through intentional decisions made under pressure, fatigue, and uncertainty. In those moments, you will not rise to your goals. You will fall to the level of your questions. When you train yourself to ask better questions consistently, you give yourself a decision-making framework that supports growth, clarity, and purpose.